all about Turkish residence permits in one place. Our channel features all the details regarding the subtleties of residence permits in Turkey, their benefits, and how they are used in practice. This is the second video, and more are coming on our channel. Today's topics include questions about renewing residence permits, the relatives of residence permit holders, what's the link between residence permits and owning property, bank accounts, and other topics. The first video of this series has been published. Watch it through this link. All information in our videos is validated by professionals who have been operating in Turkey for 25 years. Check the description below to see the questions discussed in this video, and use the time codes to listen to the information you need again. If your question isn't covered in this video, look for the answer in our residence permit playlist, or leave your question in the comments. We will certainly reply. Now here are popular residence permit questions. Part 2, answered by a seasoned expert. His answers provide distilled knowledge from the Tolerance Agency about the laws and how they are applied in Turkey. First question today, can my relatives receive residence permits with me?
Yes, when buying property in Turkey, a residence permit can be obtained for the buyer and their close relatives. Who counts as immediate family? This includes the legal spouse of the property owner. They can obtain a residence permit based on the purchase. Children under 18 can be added to the residence permit application. If a child has disabilities, their age does not matter for obtaining a residence permit. To apply for a residence permit for family, you must provide a marriage certificate and apostilled birth certificates for the children. It is important to note that each family member needs to fill out a separate application with a photo for the migration office. Why does this matter? Many property buyers in Turkey wish to be assured that their families can legally reside in the country alongside them. Tolerance Agency offers free assistance in obtaining residence permits for both buyers and their close relatives.
Is it possible to invite relatives or friends to Turkey?
Yes. Having a residence permit in Turkey allows you to invite your relatives or friends to the country. There are several ways to do this. The first option is family reunification with a residence permit. If you possess a residence permit, you are allowed to invite your immediate family members, including your spouse and underage children. They are eligible for a family residence permit, valid for 2 years and extendable, but it cannot last longer than your own residence permit. You will need to provide documents confirming your family connections, such as marriage and birth certificates. The second option is a temporary residence permit via sponsorship, which lets you invite other relatives like parents, brothers or sisters, or even friends. To do this, you must demonstrate your financial capability and offer a place to stay for the invited individual. This is a difficult route, and the results are not assured. They will rely on the migration authority's decision. To apply for a residence permit for relatives, you need to fill out the relevant forms and prepare documents like marriage or birth certificates and health insurance. Submit your application via the e-Ikamet electronic system.
Many wonder whether a residence permit is required in Turkey for purchasing property.
No, having a residence permit is not mandatory for purchasing real estate in Turkey. Foreigners can buy property in the country without obtaining a residence permit beforehand. Citizens from 184 countries can benefit from this right. However, purchasing real estate opens up the possibility of obtaining a residence permit, initially short-term and then long-term, allowing you to stay in the country legally.
What is the difference between a tourist residence permit and others, and how long do they last?
The tourist residence permit in Turkey, commonly called a tourist commit, is a category of short-term residency. This permit is granted when a foreigner intends to remain in Turkey beyond the allowed visa-free duration or tourist visa period. Yet, the individual does not plan to study, work, or buy property. Here are the important aspects of a tourist residence permit. First, it relates to the purpose of stay. A tourist visa is for living in the country for tourism, like vacationing or exploring for future business or buying a home. Nonetheless, it does not provide the right to work in Turkey and is not a foundation for long-term immigration or future citizenship. Unlike a residence permit for property or a work visa, a tourist residence permit usually lasts up to 1 year. It's rarely shorter or longer, as decided by the migration office. Before, you could renew a tourist residence permit repeatedly. Renewal of the tourist residence permit is still possible now, but Turkish migration legislation has become stricter regarding repeated purely tourist applications. Thus, during the renewal process, you might be required to present further reasons for needing to stay in tourist status beyond 1 year. At present, a repeat application for tourism purposes can be denied if the applicant does not have additional reasons like buying property, studying, or working. The tourist residence permit is also quite different from a work residence permit, çalışma izni. It permits legal work and mandates a labor agreement with a Turkish employer. Typically, the initial work residence permit is valid for 1 year, with options to extend it for 2 years and even longer later on. The renewal process is handled by the Ministry of Labor and Social Security based on the employer's application. A student residence permit is granted for the study period at a university, lasting up to 3 years, and can be extended if education continues. After finishing studies, you need to either change your residence permit to a work one if you find a job or leave the country. A property-based residence permit is usually valid for 1 to 2 years and can be renewed. It permits residence in the country with owned real estate and also grants the right to apply for Turkish citizenship for the property owner after 5 years of permanent residence in the country. A family residence permit is granted to immediate relatives of Turkish citizens or foreigners with residence or work visas who are sponsoring them. Typically, family residence permits are granted for up to 3 years, but they cannot last longer than the residence permit of the sponsor. The permit can be renewed if the family situation persists. Therefore, a tourist residence permit is the simplest option for short stays, though it offers the fewest rights. It is important to note that immigration authorities often request proof of sufficient funds for living in Turkey without employment. The amount of funds is not fixed and can vary. Turkish immigration laws are updated regularly. To avoid mistakes and rejections, it is advisable to consult with lawyers or a specialized agency, such as the experts at Tolerance. If you are considering further real estate purchases or seeking comprehensive support.
Are there investor-specific residence permits?
Turkey offers various opportunities for foreigners wishing to obtain residency based on investments, such as a short-term residence permit for property ownership. This is the most common option. It allows for a short-term residence permit typically for 1 to 2 years and can be extended as long as the property is owned. You can also get a residence permit for business and investment. It's available when you start a business in Turkey or invest in local firms. Investment amount requirements and documentation processes may change and are contingent upon the specific sector and business structure and the number of jobs created and other factors. I will also mention citizenship by investment. It should not be confused with a residence permit, but it is also relevant for large investors. When investing from USD in real estate or contributing USD to the charter capital of a Turkish company, and other conditions like bank deposits or bond purchases. It is possible to obtain Turkish citizenship in an expedited manner. We have a video where we discuss important changes in Turkish citizenship laws. Be sure to watch it. Also remember that over time, conditions and details may change, so always consult with specialists to clarify the latest changes and requirements. There's also the Turquoise Card program, a special status for skilled professionals, large investors, and cultural and scientific figures in Turkey. Turquoise Card holders have almost all the rights of permanent residents, except for the right to vote. To obtain the card, one must meet certain criteria such as qualification level, investment, or scientific value for Turkey, etc. Therefore, based on your strategy and the amount of investment, you can opt for either a short-term residence permit, such as when buying real estate, or more substantial investment options, which can lead to acquiring Turkish citizenship for substantial investments.
What are the perks of residing in Turkey with a residence permit?
Living in Turkey with a residence permit offers many benefits to foreigners. Here are the main ones. A residence permit lets you stay legally in Turkey for more than 90 days, which is vital for long-term stays for study, treatment, or moving to permanent residency. Those with a residence permit can open accounts in all Turkish banks and perform financial operations freely, making it much easier to receive transfers and settle bills, saving money, and also getting bank cards, including credit and debit cards. A residence permit makes social integration much easier. When living long-term, it is much more convenient to use local services and enter into official contracts with service providers, This includes internet, mobile communication, and rentals. You can connect electronic wallets, banking applications, and similar services to a local phone number. Holders of a residence permit are entitled to medical care in public and private clinics if they have health insurance with EGK. You can get this insurance in your second year of residency in Turkey. You can get private insurance at better rates than tourists. In urgent situations, having local insurance allows you to access medical help in public and private clinics at lower costs. Children with a residence permit can study for free in public education and enroll in private institutions. Having a residence permit, whether tourist or property-based, does not allow you to work in Turkey, but you can easily convert it to a work permit if you secure an official job. If you find an official employer, you can convert it to a work permit. A residence permit leads to long-term residency and citizenship. By breaking through several categories of residence permits, you can apply for long-term residency after 8 years in the country or citizenship after 5 years if you meet certain criteria. Unlimited travel. Residence permit holders can come and go from Turkey as often as they want. In addition, residence permit holders can visit local museums with a special discount card and can also drive a car with foreign plates for 2 years. Convert their driver's licenses to a Turkish document. Therefore, a residence permit in Turkey grants you stability and the freedom to manage everything from daily matters to financial and legal transactions. If you intend to spend a considerable amount of time in the country, work, study, or grow a business, having residence status will facilitate these plans significantly and comfortably. How to extend a residence permit? A residence permit in Turkey can be renewed an unlimited number of times. To extend it, you must apply to the Migration Service 60 days before the current residence permit expires. Continuing to meet the conditions that led to the issuance of the initial residence permit is crucial, such as ongoing treatment, education, housing rental, and so forth. If the residence permit has expired and an application for extension has not been submitted, the foreigner must leave the country within 15 days. The duration of a residence permit in Turkey varies based on its category and the individual circumstances of the applicant, which I already discussed today. Typically, the extension process for property ownership is straightforward, provided that the property remains in your ownership and is habitable. Additionally, I will discuss the long-term residence permit, which can be granted after 8 years of uninterrupted legal residence in Turkey without significant infractions. It is issued indefinitely, meaning there is no need for renewal. Nonetheless, a long-term residence permit can also be cancelled, such as in cases of extended absence from the country or for various other reasons outlined in the law. Important details exist for extending residence permits. If your life circumstances have changed, for example, if you stopped studying and decided to work, you need to reapply for a new type of residence permit, and not just extend the old one. If you live in an area that is temporarily or permanently closed for residence permit processing, you can extend your permit at this address, but you cannot obtain a new one. Refusal to extend a residence permit can happen if the applicant has breached visa or migration regulations, submitted inaccurate information, or failed to provide a complete document package. Moreover, if the migration authorities question the declared purpose of your stay, particularly with tourist residence permits that are renewed without legitimate reasons, this could lead to a denial. A residence permit can be extended if legal grounds are still valid or new ones appear. Extensions should be initiated before the current permit expires, gathering all required documents and filling out the application for iqamet. Tolerance Real Estate Agency helps clients not just with acquiring a residence permit, but also with extending it.
And the last question for today, how can one open a bank account in Turkey with a residence permit?
Possessing a residence permit greatly eases the bank account opening process. If you hold an iqamet and a residence permit card, most Turkish banks will open an account based on the following criteria. You possess a residence permit card, serving as your primary ID in Turkey, along with a foreign passport and a personal tax number, that is vergi numarası, which you can get online at the tax services site, proof of residence in the iqamet system. However, you can also provide a utility bill in your name, although this method may not be accepted by all banks. A phone number is required. Some banks accept only Turkish numbers, while others may allow foreign ones. You can find more information about the account opening process in our video linked on the screen. To open an account, you first need to choose a bank. Both state and private banks operate in Turkey, and their commission fees and services may vary. Visit the bank with the originals and copies of all necessary documents to sign the account opening and service agreement. Typically, the contract is signed only in Turkish, although some banks may offer English versions. The signed contract usually remains with the bank, and you may only receive a copy of the standard contract template. Typically, the bank issues a debit card immediately or sends a personalized card by mail within 1 to 2 weeks. After opening an account, you can connect to online banking and the mobile app. To activate it, a Turkish phone number is often required, so take care of this in advance. I will say again that not all banks accept foreign mobile numbers. Some banks are friendly to foreigners, allowing account openings with a passport and tax number, while others require strict address proof and residency verification. In some cases, the bank may request additional documents, such as proof of income source. Having an account allows you to deposit and withdraw money, transfer funds in lira and foreign currencies, pay bills, and receive remittances from abroad. Fees and limits are determined by the account type and bank rates. Like in many countries, Turkish banks may request additional information about the source of funds as part of anti-money laundering and counter-terrorism financing policies. For large transactions, banks may require explanations or supporting documents. To sum up, it's relatively easy to open a bank account in Turkey if you have a residence permit. You will need a tax ID as your primary document, along with some additional paperwork we've discussed earlier. Overall, having a residence permit significantly simplifies the entire process. The company Tolerance offers free assistance to its clients in opening accounts in Turkish banks, provided they purchase real estate in Turkey through us.
This was part 2 of our FAQ on Turkish residence permits. In the next video, Sergey Volchenkov will answer other questions frequently asked by clients of Tolerance. Can you travel with a Turkish residence permit? What does a residence permit offer drivers? How to get citizenship after living with one? Many more questions will be discussed. You can add your question in the comments under this video and feel free to contact Tolerance using these details. Please submit your application. Tolerance Homes has been work for almost 25 years and knows a lot about life, real estate, and moving to Turkey.